Okay, so just quickly going to go through the negatives. Okay, so Zaretsky does take a very negative view. Okay, I said that right at the beginning. He's a very negative sociologist in being a Marxist. Okay, and therefore, when he's been sort of caught up with all these negatives, he's ignored some of the positive things that can come from the family. Okay, we've talked about it with Parsons. Okay, the stress relief, the idea of the warm bath, and the fact that they do raise families, and that can be a sense, it can create a sense of social cohesion. But rightly said, okay, just up here, the whole capitalist system depends on housewives to produce the future generation of workers. Okay, so he's taking primary socialization and putting a negative spin on it. Okay, once again, making it a negative thing rather than a positive. Okay, it very much depends on your perspective. Okay, but it's worth noting that it is a very negative view. Okay, equally, like all Marxists, he takes a very, very big emphasis on social class. Okay, he doesn't really look at the fact that that women in the family actually take a very, very much a central role and actually take on more stress, arguably, than the males. Okay, so something that feminists would say. Okay, so this is very much a feminist critique. Okay, he doesn't really focus on the fact that there's unequal distribution of alienation and strain. He just says that people are being oppressed by the bourgeoisie. He doesn't focus on which people. Okay, so a feminist would definitely argue that women face a much harder time than anyone else. Okay, equally, as always, okay, and this should be very much a secondary evaluation point. Okay, this shouldn't be your go-to. Okay, it was thought up in the 1970s. Okay, so it could be argued that it's a bit outdated. Okay, but I will always say, guys, okay, this should be very much a last resort. Okay, do try and remember some of these other more interesting and more relevant pieces of evaluation, okay, because outdated will get old very, very quickly, okay. If you've talked about Parsons previously in your essay, and you said that it was thought up in the 1950s, okay, I would really expect you to come up with something different if you're going to talk about Zaretsky in the next point. Okay, so just keep that in mind. The evaluation can't always be that it's outdated. It needs to be something else as well. Okay, now it's a very complicated study, but it's saying something very similar to things that we've looked at before. Okay, it's overall looking at the functions of the family, and because it's a Marxist perspective, he's looking at it in a very negative light. Okay, as always, any questions, drop me an email. Okay, but this hopefully has helped. Thank you guys. See you next time.